How is everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. So I wanted to start out today just by giving a shout out to everyone at the Stonier Graduate School of Banking. Today is Thursday, is the last day for Stonier. So I just want to give a big congratulations to all the graduates, all the ones that made it through the 3-year journey. Congratulations to all of you. Welcome to the Stonier Alumni Network. I wish all of you out there, all the graduates, nothing but the best in the future. To the year 1 and year 2 students, continue on in your journey. I know that everybody out there will undoubtedly do great. So that being said, I had an article here on a pretty wild story that I saw that I really had been waiting a couple of weeks to cover this. Because I had so much other stuff I had to cover here. But this was an article from the Wall Street Journal called "Bags of Cash from Drug Cartels Flood Teller Windows at U.S. Banks. Chinese money launderers allegedly made 6-figure deposits at Chase, Bank of America, and Citibank branches across Los Angeles County." So at first, and I don't want to pick on them, but they say windows at U.S. banks. It's not U.S. banks. It's big banks. Okay. It's big banks that are being focused on here. So on a hazy Southern California morning, undercover police officers watched Jinyong Yi step out of a Range Rover in a strip mall parking lot and walk into a Chase Bank with a black leather backpack full of cash. At the teller window, you pulled out stacks of bills and waited while a woman fed them into a cash counting machine. After you left, an officer asked the teller if he had deposited more than $10,000, the threshold requiring banks to flag transactions to federal regulators. More like 100,000, the teller said. By then, Yu was already on his way to Chase and Bank of America branches in Claremont, California, about 35 miles away. Federal authorities allege that Yu worked for an underground banking network that bought dollars at a discount from Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel and sold them at a premium, largely to Chinese nationals in the U.S. The network allegedly handled some $50 million in proceeds from drug trafficking over 4 years, depositing a portion of the tainted cash at ATMs and teller windows at major banks, including Citibank, in cities around Los Angeles County, according to federal prosecutors. Similar money laundering operations operate in plain sight around the U.S., hiding the staggering returns, which are the sole reason cross-border cartels smuggle the fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and other illegal drugs consumed by millions of Americans, according to current and former law enforcement officials and court records. More than 80,000 people in the U.S. died from drug overdoses last year, a drop from 2023, according to estimates released Wednesday by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Chinese money laundering operatives in some cases opened dozens of bank accounts at multiple banks, using counterfeit passports to disguise their identity or recruiting local business owners and students. They charge traffickers 1% to 2% on the dollar, undercutting competitors. In North Carolina, prosecutors filed money laundering charges last year against a Chinese network that used shell companies to make cash deposits totaling at least $92 million between May of 22 and April of 24 at banks including Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. In one 5-month period, the network's money couriers made more than 100 deposits at bank branches in 20 states using accounts created in the name of a sham company. None of the banks cited in these cases has been accused of wrongdoing. Let me say that again. None of the banks cited in these cases has been accused of wrongdoing. So this is a problem, major problem. Banks have AML and BSA, major regulation, rules, guidelines that they have to follow. TD Bank got nailed for a $3 billion fine just because of violating the BSA and AML for stuff like this, because they turned a blind eye to stuff like this, or didn't report it, or didn't do things properly. But I digress for a minute. Let's continue. Banks occasionally close accounts based on suspicious activity, sometimes within a month. Even that allows enough time for money launderers to disperse millions of dollars of ill-gotten gains into avenues of financial anonymity. Usually within a day, the money is moved, often with the purchase of a cashier's check or to cryptocurrency. In some cases, the money is transferred to accounts held by customers of Chinese money brokers. When bank accounts are closed, money launderers open new ones under different names elsewhere. U.S. banks are a prime candidate for exploitation, and there are vulnerabilities which Chinese money brokers have been able to take advantage of over the course of many years, said Frank Tarantino, special agent in charge of Drug Enforcement Administration's New York office. In a rare enforcement action last year, TD Bank paid, wait for it, what I just say, $3 billion in penalties for lax internal systems that allowed a Chinese money laundering operation based in the Flushing neighborhood of Queens in New York City to move more than $470 million in illicit cash through TD branches in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. The cash sparked increased scrutiny of U.S. banks, which report tens of millions of suspicious transactions and large cash deposits each year. Only a slim fraction of those reports trigger investigations. Sergeant Scott Guerrero had assembled the team that watched you deposit the six-figure cash haul at the Chase branch in Artesia, California. He was on loan to a DEA task force from his job as a narcotics officer at the police department in Southgate, California, a working-class city in southeast LA County that has become a hub for regional drug trafficking. Guerrero was investigating a local drug operation for the DEA task force when he came to realize how much cash was going to suspected Chinese money laundering operatives. After wrapping up a smuggling case in 2019, he recruited task force colleagues to chase the money. The pursuit lasted 4 years across LA County, south to the border, north to San Francisco, and as far east as Texas. Officers followed the cash from traffickers to money brokers to banks and cash buyers, offering a rare view inside a money laundering operation serving America's multi-billion-dollar illegal drug trade. Our anti-money laundering monitoring program performed as intended in this case. A JP Morgan Chase spokesman said, "We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement while encouraging regulators to modernize existing laws to keep America safe from money launderers. We have extensive systems to detect suspicious activity and, consistent with legal requirements, report that activity to the appropriate authorities and take action on the relevant accounts," a Bank of America spokesman said. A Citigroup spokesman declined to comment on the California case, but said the bank's anti-money laundering policies and practices are robust. "We notify the authorities as required and fully cooperate with any investigation," he said. And then it goes on to talk about, paper chase, going in here, the task force still going after, tracking these guys down. Obviously, it's a big problem, continues to go on. They started getting like cash drop. And then this was kind of interesting. So the drug money cleanup. So this is kind of a nice detailed thing here. So it basically says, number one, traffickers sell narcotics and transfer the cash to Chinese money brokers. Number two, money brokers sell the money to Chinese in the U.S. who pay for the dollars with yuan from accounts in China. Cash is passed by hand or through banks. Number three, Chinese customers use the cash for cars, real estate, or tuition. Where's number four? Number four, one-way brokers return money to cartels is by exchanging yuan in China for pesos in Mexico through a business buying Chinese goods bound for Mexico. And then number five, the goods are sold in Mexico and the proceeds are paid to cartels. So very interesting map here. Drug user, drug trafficker, Chinese money broker, Chinese customer, broker's bank account, goods, back here, Mexican pesos, back to cartel. So, interesting trail there, if you will, as you follow the money around. So, and then we have, full transparency. So, again, I have problems with this because obviously this is really becoming a big bank issue. Of course, they're going to say that, oh, hey, all of our BSA and AML, our systems are robust and they're working exactly as intended and everything is good and everything is fine. So I believe, so the one thing you could say is is the problem so pronounced that you just can't put enough eyeballs on it, or you just don't have enough resources to really get, every little single thing? Okay, maybe. But at what point do you cross the line between, just incompetence and malfeasance? And I think, like in the case of TD Bank, if you looked at the emails and the internal text messaging that came out amongst the employees, I mean, it was horrifying. They had employees who were getting paid by the cartels to turn a blind eye. You had people internally that were just either totally incompetent or were doing, criminal things. They were basically like, yeah, okay, I know this person's money laundering. He just came in and deposited $1 million. I don't care, whatever. There are things going on there. So I mean, so I guess I just asked the question: at what point do you cross the line between, the bank is trying to do the best they can, and it's a big problem, and to the point where it's like you've got employees doing criminal things and turning a blind eye, and all these people, these Chinese money brokers and these drug traffickers and all these other players in this part are using this because they're paying people off to look the other way, or I just think that there is a major problem here, and the fact that you're not seeing people being prosecuted or investigated further, it's a I mean, that's it bothers me. It really bothers me. But the other side of this that bothers me is the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, we got to do more, we got to do more, we got to do more. And what happens? What happens when the way that you go about this is, well, we need to ratchet up the BSA and the AML, and now the SAR reports, the suspicious activity reports, and the CTR reports. We need to start looking at more of what And again, what happens is it's the little grandma who comes in to deposit, $30,000 into her savings account, or she comes in and she goes to withdraw. She wants to make a withdrawal. Oh, I gotta take out 50 grand because I need to give, 10 grand to this kid for college and 10 grand to that kid for college. I'm going to give 10 grand to this grandkid to go buy a car. And they're the ones that end up getting hounded by the bank. Why are you taking this money out? What are you doing with it? What's going on? Are you falling into some kind of fraud, or what's happening here? What are you doing? And again, so, I do have concerns because I don't want the AML and the BLA to be jacked up to a point where it's even worse than what it already is. And it causes more regulatory burden for small banks. It causes more hassle for customers, who 99% of which are just doing, not doing anything wrong, just being good customers, living their lives. So again, I worry about this because I see a lot of ramifications coming down the road that potentially may not be good, like good outcomes, whatever, so, but anyway, thought it was a really interesting article, wanted to bring it to you guys and, see what everybody thinks about this. But with that being said, I'll wrap up by saying, if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, as that always helps the channel. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please be sure to leave your comments down below, as I always enjoy getting back to everybody. And as always, check out some of the other content on the channel. I hope everyone has a great day out there. I will see you again real soon. Thanks a lot.